Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 5 of season 2 of our F1 Manager McLaren career mode. Yes, this weekend we're back in Miami, and of course the only track I've ever had a red flag in on F1 Manager. Whether we'll see that the same thing this weekend is yet to be decided. But of course, if you missed out on the video that went live from Imola last weekend, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. And of course, it's finally race week once more as well. It has been a very, very long month with no Formula 1, but we're finally back once again, and I cannot wait to jump into it. We've got new aerodynamic testing periods starting in this series, so we're going to try and get some upgrades working on the car before, of course, we dive into the weekend there. So we've got new MFD time, new MAU hours as well, so we desperately need to try and design some more car parts there. In terms of aerodynamics, I think we're doing quite well at the moment. We are really just trying to look at speed on the car at the moment. That's where we really seem to be struggling. So I'm going to put quite a gamble into this. I'm going to chuck everything we've possibly got at this to try and bring ourselves further towards the front of the field there. You can see quite a big shift across the entire car performance over the entire car. You know, let me know down in the comments below whether this was a really, really stupid idea as well, so I know ready for the next period there. But we just seem to be struggling around the higher speed parts of circuit still, so that's what we're going to try and go with then. You can see it does help actually quite a lot with the cornering as well. I think I can even focus it on, of course, just the high speed and the drag reduction there. So we'll bring all of those airflow sensitivity. We can pretty much leave where we want it. So that's going to make the car a whole lot quicker and give us a lot better high-end performance as well. So we may as well put all the engineers on it, mightn't we? If it's going to take that long. And we'll even rush it as well. So that's going to be in quite a few weeks' time, though. But like we said, it is a big upgrade there, and $1.6 million as well. It is going to be well worth it. You know, we are trying to look towards the front of the field, sort of seeing what we can do against those cars. It might mean that we struggle a little bit over the next few weekends there. Luckily, despite the difficult start, you know, after Bahrain at the kickstart of the year, we have struggled a little bit more in recent weeks, but still apparently the team quite happy with the way we're going there. And are there any other sort of facility upgrades and things like that we could do? We could try and upgrade the factory. I think we've just got to keep spending money at the moment. You know, it might not be what McLaren would do in real life, but yeah, it's absolutely, I think, what we're going to have to do in this series there. And we probably should have done a wind tunnel upgrade, but that's okay. Can we do anything else? Apparently, we can go with a suspension simulator, so we'll spend a lot of money as well. The $500,000 left in the pocket as we head into Miami, but big upgrades on the way. Let's do this thing.
We're in the state of year-round summer. It's the Miami Grand Prix, and we're here in Florida at the Miami International Autodrome. The streets of Miami Gardens will come alive with the roar of racing, and the excitement is only just beginning. Spectacle is the name of the game here in Miami, with a stadium at the heart of this track. With long straights and S-bends, not unlike Suzuka's Sector 1, proper ERS management is sure to give drivers an edge towards victory. We might still be early in the season, but that doesn't mean we can sit back and relax. Everything is up for grabs, and nothing is certain at this stage. Let the weekend begin!
Well, I think we've all got to appreciate the irony there of Crofty saying the year-round sunshine, and it's raining. Absolutely bucketing it down as we head into free practice then here for the Miami GP. That's going to make trying to get setups all worked out a little bit more difficult this weekend. Of course, going to have to try and make some adjustments to the car where we can. But as always, we'll try a few things. We'll see what works, and hopefully we can get a good weekend under our belt. So I know I keep getting asked about this when I stream over on Twitch. There'll be a link down in the description below for those of you that are interested. But yeah, F1 Manager, you know, I'm still enjoying this game, but certainly think, you know, there's quite a few changes that need to be made with it, ready, of course, for the F1 2023 season, as Lando and Oscar Piastri, they're just swapping places. Lando Norris sneaking his way by. I really am hoping, you know, I do still enjoy this game, but I feel like there are definitely some repetitive features, which of course I think is why some of you obviously aren't so interested in this series as much. But, you know, for those of you that are sticking around, you know, watching F1 Manager, generally these videos now are sort of getting 2,000-3,000 views. Thank you all so much. You know, that sounds really bad, but if I imagine 2,000-3,000 people still sort of standing around watching, that's kind of still mad. So I cannot thank you guys enough for the support as well. But, you know, it's things like sprint races, a bit more unpredictability, you know, driver transfers, being able to move around teams as well. It's those little things, being able to set up your own team, I think is still the absolute big one that we want to see for F1 Manager 23. And I have got a lot of faith in Frontier as well, you know, the company obviously developing this game, and I really am hoping we do get some news quite soon. Of course, I think we're getting very close to some F1 23 news, so yeah, maybe some news on F1 Manager as well would be nice. Yuki Tsunoda apparently has binned it. Let's see where he's gone. He's definitely only got half a front wing there, so not too sure what the young Japanese driver has done. They've crashed out, according to David Croft, as he just missed his braking point. Of course, it is a monstrous back straight, of course, down the bypass here. Yes, he has tried to commit to the corner there. Not exactly what Yuki Tsunoda wanted to start his weekend. Of course, first race for him representing the American Haas team at one of their home venues, but we are a long way off the pace early on. But it's all a bit mixed up, to be honest. I mean, it says a lot when Magnussen's up in 8th. Lance Stroll in his Williams is in 11th there. Just 2/10 behind Max Verstappen as Mercedes. Fastest so far, but they did do that in real life Miami last year. Here we go. Oscar Piastri not happy with the car either, so we'll call him back into the pit lane. I mean, obviously the track conditions as well are moving around so quickly at the moment. It is very difficult to tell. You know, I mean, now suddenly we're only 2 seconds off the pace again, and one of the Haas cars is right at the rear of the field. So there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing, but like I said, we're just trying to get a rough idea what we need ready for qualifying. There we go then. Clearly, whatever direction we took with Lando Norris, he's much happier with it than Oscar Piastri is. Times are all still moving around so rapidly. I think looking at that left-hand column is pretty much pointless at the moment, but we'll make some tweaks and we'll send Lando back out. There you go, half hour into the session, just having a quick look at the data. It should be going back to dry pretty soon. Been impressed with just how consistently wet it has been early on here in FP1. I mean, look, Crofty said Miami is not meant to be a track it rains that much, but this weekend is absolutely going for it. Rain is only meant to be here on Friday though, so when it's time to go into qualifying, we should be back to normal. Say 10 minutes left then here of free practice. We're going to see some glory runs coming in now. Zhou Guan Yu, 2.7 seconds clear of the rest of the field there in his Aston Martin. He must be absolutely loving that. We've sent Oscar and Lando out for one final run. Feel like we're pretty much where we want to be. Lando's very happy actually with his car setup there. It's just you can't quite get everything where the driver wants it, but we've done pretty well. I think unless anything absolutely wild happens, we probably should head into qualifying.
Today has already seen the culmination of practice, so we move on now to the all-important qualifying session. There's very little time to relax because each and every driver will need to bring their A-game to the track for qualifying. They'll need to push themselves to the limit if they're to be challenging for a strong grid position. You simply never know what you'll see come qualifying. So here we are, ready to resume.
Right, well, heading then into qualifying, as always, the pace between the front and the midfield there is so competitive, but Gasly quickest come the end of Friday and, well, Saturday morning's running, I suppose we should say as well there. Oscar Piastri looking pretty competitive, only Alonso between him and Lando. But, yeah, well, we'll see what happens then. I mean, it's probably going to be either Tsunoda and Seb and both Aston Martins and Williams. I know I say it every single race weekend, so I think we can safely jump straight into Q2. Oh, no.
We can take a look now.
Lando Norris, this is Q1, this isn't even Q2. Straight on, into the wall there, down through the tricky middle sector. And that might be him, hopefully not out of qualifying, but that is going to be a lot of damage that we've got to try and get sorted on the car. That is really not helpful, Lando. He keeps making those little mistakes at the moment. Yeah, we've got to bring him back into the pit lane then. He's absolutely destroyed the tyres as well. Front wing terminal damage and some minor suspension damage as well. Well, to be honest, I'm not really confident in the situation either of our cars are in at the moment. Oscar Piastri only down in P13 there. The likes of Tsunoda, Gasly, Ocon and Magnussen. This is a track, that Haas are looking incredibly strong at. Yuki Tsunoda, he's often on the cusp between Q1 and Q2 there. Provisionally P4. He's absolutely smashed it, but both of our cars back out on a second run. Remember as well, I think we got one spare front wing, which Lando Norris has now taken. And it has reminded me of what happened last year here in Miami, where I think it was Lando Norris lost the front wing, didn't he? And we had no others for the rest of the weekend, so we might have to spend even more money and emergency manufacture a couple more front wings ready for the weekend there. I don't know, we might be able to do a suspension swap on the car, because that is damaged, but of course we can't do anything about it during qualifying, sorry. There, Perez goes quickest ahead of Max Verstappen there. Carlos Sainz remains in P3. Oscar Piastri green in Sector 1. Lando Norris going actually slower than his teammate there, so this is really not looking good as we come towards the end of qualifying then. Bump down to P14 for Oscar Piastri at the moment there, but Zhou Guanyu hasn't improved. Mick Schumacher stays in the drop zone there ahead of Albon and Lance Stroll. We are just waiting on Fernando Alonso, who, there we go, bumps Oscar Piastri down. So one of our cars might be out in Q1 here unless they can both improve there. Oscar Piastri doing a pretty good job as he heads up in towards the final couple of corners. He needs to go clear of Fernando there, as out of the final turn will go Oscar Piastri up towards the line. He will go quicker than Fernando Alonso there, so he's safely through and into Q2. Will Lando Norris be able to make it through as well despite the suspension damage? Yes, he will. P13. So we do just about scrape by. And Fernando Alonso out there, 1.2 seconds off pole. This is looking mega tight. Well, to be completely honest, I'm not really holding my breath on either of our cars making it out and into Q3 here. Lando Norris is often the one that can just about squeeze by. But yeah, with that suspension damage, I think this weekend we might be confined to 2 Q2 exits there. You can see Max Verstappen only down in P9 after his first run, so really not getting the lap time he wanted. But yeah, it seems like, again, so many of the midfield cars have leapt forward towards those front runners. Ocon only able to go 10th fastest there, near enough 2 seconds off the pace, so he's going to have to do another run. But what will Oscar and Lando be able to achieve? Oscar there just getting tripped up a little bit by Carlos Sainz as he rounds his way through the final corner. Both cars have gone out on a scrub set of tyres, so they should have a bit more pace in the car. Oscar Piastri up over the line. Yep, P11 there, so in the drop zone at the moment. Is Lando Norris going quicker than his teammate? Yeah, 10th up in Sector 1, another 10th and a half up in Sector 2. So Lando Norris is looking a bit more competitive then. Out of the final corner, up towards the line. He goes up into P7 there, 4 tenths off fastest. That has given us renewed hope, as it looks like the team have actually been able to sort the suspension damage between Q1 and Q2. That is really good. Well, as always then, we're going to aim to try and be the last cars out onto a lap here, but this is still looking incredibly tight. But both Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen currently in the drop zone. Surely they're going to be able to improve there and shift some other cars back, of course. We have seen incidents occur during qualifying runs here, but yeah, Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda, Bottas, all absolutely on it so far this weekend there. 4 tenths away from pole. I mean, I don't know where this has come from Yuki Tsunoda. He's often been quite weak in the F1 Manager Series, but not this weekend so far, apparently. Looks like everyone up the road is successfully navigating their way through the tight, twisty technical middle sector there. We'll try and study if we see any improvements by either of our cars there. Oscar Piastri, there we go. That's a big improvement, if I'm not mistaken. There, another 10th and a half up or so. I'm not convinced he'll make it through, though. He does need 3 tenths of a second as he comes towards the end of the lap. There is Lando Norris, once again, going even faster just in front of him. So if Oscar Piastri can all but match the time, that would be impressive there. Charles Leclerc silenced the doubters there. Straight back up into fastest. Carlos Sainz going even quicker, though. And Verstappen, there we go. So no shocks by the Dutchman or the Monegasque driver. Both within a 10th of a second of Carlos Sainz there, who sets the pace come the end of Sector 2. But so many cars are improving as we head down the back straight there. Lando Norris is going to need to try and find the time there, as he's now in the drop zone alongside Lando Norris. Alongside Oscar Piastri even, I should say. Sebastian Vettel unable to improve there, down in P13. Ocon now jumps himself up, so Magnussen and Ricciardo are going to be out in Q2 here. Will Oscar Piastri be joining them, or will he make it by? He only goes P14 in the end, 3 thousandths away from the time set by Lando Norris. But can we see Lando find another couple of tenths up at the flag? No, he will not. It's P11 in the end, so neither of our cars making it into Q3 for the first time since Bahrain. But again, I know I say it every week, qualifying, there is nothing to separate these drivers there. Less than a second from pole, and it's not good enough to bring you into the final qualifying session. Let's get into it though. it's Miami Grand Prix time.
The grid is packed and there's electricity in the air. But there's no surprises in that. It's race day.
McLaren did well during qualifying. They maximized their potential and are in a good position for the race today. We didn't see any unexpected prowess from Alpine during qualifying, but they did well for themselves. Everything's still open to them for the race. A sunny day here with only a few clouds in the sky. If things stay this way, the weather shouldn't pose any challenges to the teams.
57 laps await our competitors here in Miami, so may the best driver win.
Right, well, here we are then, looking down trackside for the Miami Grand Prix here. No threat of rain during the race, so we don't have to worry too much about that. But could we go on quite an aggressive strategy with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris this weekend? Of course, we tried the two-stop last time around. It didn't quite work the way I wanted it to, but could it be possible this weekend? There we are going to have to try and take quite a lot out of the tyres. 15 laps or so either end on a set of soft compound tyres. We'll have to, just extend the medium stint a little bit more. 16 laps on each, and then a 25 lap stint in the middle on the mediums there. That's going to be, I think, the plan of action with Oscar Piastri. Do I go the same with Lando, or do I try doing something a little bit different there? Neither car, I don't think, starting inside the top 10. So I think we'll split the strategies still. If we get a safety car or something like that, then I'll feel like an absolute mug. 11th and 14th here, ready for the Miami GP. We're not going to bother under fueling. It did not work out for us last weekend. In fact, you know what? We'll put the maximum amount of fuel we can in the car. I feel like long term, it gives us a bigger benefit. But let's do this thing though. Miami GP.
I hope I'm not tempting fate here, but there are quite a few clouds overhead as we look at the lineup on the grid. And there is Lando Norris. They're in the back half of the pack, so they'll need to work hard if they want a podium finish. And it's the other McLaren. Slower than most yesterday, so today they'll be starting from the bottom half of the grid. Will their hard work pay off today? And this is it, the Miami Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Seemed like a bit of a bad start there from Charles Leclerc as we head down towards turn 1. Let's just monitor Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri's progress in towards the first corner. Lando on the inside and in a Haas sandwich straight through turn 1 there. But look at Oscar Piastri, straight trying to get around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, on those softer compounded tyres. I'm not really sure how well we're going to be able to push in terms of tyres today, but you know what, we are going to put both cars immediately on the push mode early on then. No places gained for either of them through the first couple of corners, but nice to see Oscar willing to be a little bit more aggressive, willing to try and push the envelope with Daniel Ricciardo, of course, fellow Australian, the man he replaced inside our McLaren operation there as Max Verstappen leads the way. Charles Leclerc just about hung on ahead of Hamilton there at the start. Carlos Sainz ahead of Perez and George Russell, so it is Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes at the front of the field there. But Bottas, I'm sure, we've seen this so many times by him in the past, will want to try and keep up with them for as long as he can early on in the race. I think for us this weekend, it is all about just seeing if the race can come to us and what we can try and do in the process there. But Lando Norris, I mean, what are we looking at in terms of strategy? Oscar, the only car on soft compound tyres here, so he's got to really try and move forward as best as possible early there. Ocon, Hamilton and Sainz as well as George Russell, the only car starting on hards inside the top 10, as well as a smattering of others at the rear of the field. But Fernando Alonso, I think, is going to be one to watch as well there. Alfa Romeo have had good pace around this venue. He just could not get it hooked up in qualifying there as well. We've got something going on. A huge blockage going on down at the final corner. Looks like everyone has made it through somehow. Did not see what was going on, what caused that. As I think, George Russell might have made a little bit of a mistake there, unless it was Sainz and Perez in front of him. But we've just about survived lap 1. Neither of our cars moving forward. But now we've got to try and just settle in. Already then onto lap 4 we go. We can see there's a little bit of a blockage going on behind Yuki Tsunoda there. The Haas car so strong on Saturday. Struggled a bit on Friday, of course, binning it. The only car to make a major error in Friday's free practice running there. But are we going to see Lando Norris then try and get a run on Esteban Ocon as we head down the back straight? Of course, we're trying to use all the fuel we possibly can, but Ocon trying to apply some pressure to Tsunoda in front of him. And again, this is the thing with the DRS trains on F1 Manager. This is what I want changed for F1 Manager 23. The DRS trains are just impossible. You know, if the car in front of you got DRS, you can't do anything. Does it make sense? Sometimes yes, other times no. It's just a very, very frustrating feature on this game there. As you can see, Tsunoda defending with all his worth down at turn 1. So if we can try and get Lando and maybe even Oscar past these cars there, get him into a bit of free air inside the points, that could be really good early on. It's George Russell not matching the top runners there, and he is under pressure by the driver he replaced down at Mercedes. And our little hopes early on then have been even further squashed. Bottas now ahead of George Russell, so this whole train of cars has just kind of emerged into one group. I still don't really want to risk it too much with Oscar early on there, because we've got no idea how the tyres are going to cope later in the race there. It does look like they should be able to do about a 15-lap run, but they are not going to be fun come the end of that stint. But yeah, we're just sat in this train from 6th down to Oscar in P14. Oscar Piastri then has now entered the pit window in this Grand Prix. I apologise, there hasn't been much action early on. It really just has been a very, very slow burn to the start of this race. Ocon now has lost the DRS to Yuki Tsunoda, so it might be worth trying to do something with Lando. But what I'm thinking we do with Oscar Piastri is we'll get him to that pit stop, we'll put him on another set of the soft compound tyres and see if we can try and jump past a load of these cars, of course, when they box, and of course try and be quicker towards the end of the race as well. But yeah, we're going to try and see if we can get a run then on Esteban Ocon as we head down this back straight. Well, not really a straight, but of course one of the longest flat-out sections around this venue. Here goes Lando, gaining on the Frenchman there. Tries to have a look to the inside. Has he made it through? We've made it through there. They definitely actually collided. But somehow Lando Norris getting away with it. He's got to make sure he stays within the range, though, of Esteban Ocon, so we can try and get another one done down the back straight there. But yeah, Ocon, of course, on those hard tyres, probably not going to be able to get the run that we were expecting from him there, but way earlier than we'd ever hoped on the brakes. Will Lando Norris be a bit too far back this time round to really make any inroads? You can see he's gaining once again on the relative. Of course, we have got the 3 DRS zones around the Miami circuits. Look at that! Lando Norris is trying to give me a heart attack, I swear there. Does make, again, some noticeable improvements. The Alpine logo is getting bigger and bigger there as we head over the start-finish line, though, to start lap 14. Not long for Oscar Piastri into the pit lane, though, but here goes Lando Norris. 3rd time's a charm to the inside of Esteban Ocon there, down at turn 1. And can we swoop through? We're going to have to try and put him on the deploy mode to close up to those cars in front as well, because, of course, we don't really want Esteban trying to get back round him, but Esteban Ocon does finally give up the place then. So we are through and up into P10 of the Grand Prix. First time we've been in the points so far this race. Oscar Piastri then still sat in P14, but he has dropped just outside the range from those cars in front of him. Just need to save a bit of battery with him and see what we can do, but Lando has got to go on a charge. Yeah, Oscar Piastri, those tyres have practically hit the cliff then, so we are going to box him like I said. He hasn't got any fresh sets of the soft compound tyres. I mean, those two are exactly even, but we are going to box him in at the end of this lap. Then he's going to really try and push on over these next few there, but I don't know how he's lost 5 seconds to the cars in front of him. Really is struggling towards the end of the stint, as Lando has not been able to break free from Esteban Ocon behind, but he's also not under too much pressure either. Here we go, Oscar Piastri into the pit lane then, but so is a handful of other cars. So that's not quite what I wanted. I wanted Oscar Piastri to try and get quite a big jump on a few of the drivers there. But Daniel Ricciardo heading into the pit lane as well. What tyres has he gone on to? He's gone hard tyres then, trying to get towards the end of the afternoon perhaps. 40 laps is a long old way to go on those tyres there. But Lando Norris has now finally got back into the range of Esteban. You know, he's lost the place to Ocon again, hasn't he? So we'll sit behind Ocon then for a few more laps in this Grand Prix, sort of see what we can do. But yeah, Oscar re-emerging then, only 85% on these tyres, so he's probably only going to be able to get to about lap 30, and then he's going to have to pit once more. Let's just try and get him to push and see what we can do. Come on then, Oscar, let's try and get the move done on Sir Lancelot as we head down the back straight. That should be a nice simple one. And then we go back into P18 he goes. So effectively, of course, from here he's trying to keep up with Lando Norris. He's a long way back, but he is going to be on fresher tyres right the way through to the end of the afternoon there. Running very, very low on battery now, as you can see. But yeah, Albon, Mick Schumacher as well, surely are going to be fairly simple ones to try and get around, especially, you know, fresher, softer compounded tyres, much, much quicker car as well than those drivers around him. But like, Lando back up into P10 again then, but 4 seconds back behind Tsunoda, as here we go, Magnussen and Ocon battling behind him. Let's try and deploy, see if we can break free. We'll try and take a bit more out of the tyres as well. Here we go. Oscar again then, trying to apply a move on Alex Albon there. He's having a look to the inside of the Williams in front of him. We've got to start making these moves, Oscar. This is really compromising our race strategy at the moment. You can see Ricciardo has been able to get about 10 seconds, oh sorry, about 6 seconds clear ahead of this couple of cars. So this is really not working for Oscar Piastri at the moment as he winds his way through the middle sector. We're going to have to try and go on the overtake as we head out of these next couple of corners. But like I've said, this is the problem with this game still. You just cannot find a way around the other cars as easily as you would like there. I mean, he's all over the gearbox of Alex Albon, but surely when they both get the DRS, there's not really going to be a lot we can do about it. He's getting a much, much bigger toe than Albon is in front of him. To the inside goes Oscar Piastri then. Are we going to be able to make the move work? Surely this one, no. How is he backing out of that? He's fully alongside Albon, and he just backs out of it. So Max Verstappen then one of the first of the front runners to blink, but Albon is just stuck battling Mick Schumacher here. None of them are doing anything, and Oscar Piastri cannot find a way around. I'm going to have to bring Lando into the pits at the end of this one. Maybe he's just gone a little bit too long on those tyres. As yeah, everyone else in pretty much the same boat, so it is quite a stretch of a one-stop here. So Oscar Piastri, I mean, it's not looking great at the moment, but he might be able to try and get his way back into it if other cars' tyres fall off. Or, of course, we get a safety car. I think we've had one so far this season in this McLaren RTG, so not too sure what's going on there. As Verstappen, yeah, has basically got a pit stop over Lando in this Grand Prix. Come on, Oscar, you've got to make the move work this time round. As we head down the back straight to the outside, he'll go on Alex Albon. Will Albon just slam the door shut at the end of the straight? He tries to. There we go. This is what I dislike about F1 Manager. There we go, though. Lando Norris has just been and gone through the pit lane, and he's actually got a nice little jump on Kevin Magnussen, and then should hopefully carry him through throughout a nice section of this Grand Prix. Of course, Ocon's still out there on his hard tyres, so he's going to be much quicker towards the end. But yeah, Oscar's only 5 seconds behind Lando still. He has finally got a way around those cars behind him as well. I just could not bear to watch it anymore. So we're going to get him pushing again, but it's not going to be long before he pits. But just please, keep Mick Schumacher at bay, I pray. Oscar Piastri then, end of 30. We're going to box him onto that set of the medium compound tyres to take him through to the end of the afternoon there. The tyres just falling off a little bit, but, you know, we have held up a couple of cars for a short period as well there. As back down into the pit lane then for Oscar Piastri. I mean, we may as well just try and gamble it on these sorts of things. But, yeah, Ocon there was re-emerged just between Magnussen and Lando Norris again in this race. So it really has been just a weird little Grand Prix so far this afternoon. Is it worth letting the Alpine by and then hoping he can try and close up the cars in front? I mean, we're 7 seconds back behind the points there. Just all the midfield seem to be very, very close to the front runners this weekend. As Lando, he's going to re-emerge behind again. Come on, get ahead of one of those Williams. He will be ahead of Mick, but behind Stroll and Albon, I think, yeah, we just got to see what happens. Well, sit rep then, 22 laps to go of this afternoon's running. Lando is still battling it out with Esteban Ocon up in P12 there, but we're not really battling for points. I don't think we're going to see AI trying to stop this, to be completely honest. I think maybe Ricciardo might have to, because he, of course, did box very early. So it might be a case of that we're battling for the final points-paying position. But yeah, Oscar's race is pretty much in the bin there. He's 11 seconds back behind Zhou Guanyu and Fernando Alonso still. Yeah, unless we get a safety car, it's not looking good. 15 laps to go then of this Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton leading the way ahead of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez there. So could we see Mercedes back on top this weekend? He's going to be very, very tight for tyres towards the end of this Grand Prix. The other one, of course, we're watching out for is Daniel Ricciardo, but I mean, yeah, unless we see some late two-stoppers, I don't think it's going to make much difference here, as Oscar is just sat in no man's land. He has now closed up to the back of Zhou Guanyu again, and he just keeps doing that. I'm so fed up of him just not going for overtakes. There we go, we are seeing a few of the front runners into the pit lane then, so Hamilton didn't believe he could get to the end on those tyres. Carlos Sainz another one in the same boat, so could we see Lando Norris potentially get up inside the top 10 there? Ricciardo is still the big one that we're most interested in. 45% on those tyres, you can see now as Bottas gets around him. This could be slowly but surely coming back towards us late on in the afternoon. But yeah, Lando is not in particularly great shape either. Oh, there we go. Lando Norris inside the top 10 once again. George Russell, Daniel Ricciardo both having to peel into the pit lane with 12 laps to go of this Grand Prix. And he's now got like a 13-second lead over the Mercedes here, so it's clear that a lot of cars aren't able to stretch the tyres as far as they'd originally hoped. Lando now has really just got to try and be smart towards the end in terms of fuel and ERS management, but if we can keep Ocon at bay, he did fall out of the DRS range, could we still snooker away a couple more points and keep the points tally ticking over for Lando Norris? Oh, less than 10 laps to go. Ocon's still trying to make moves on Lando Norris, so I think we just got to try and save some fuel, save some tyres, ready to go on a final late race assault there. I mean, could we see Bottas and Tsunoda? I don't think so. I think all of the AI in front of us now are going to be trying to get to the end. What is the gaps to the cars behind there? Russell has closed in at an absolute rapid rate of knots on these cars, but I think Ricciardo might be out of it towards the end of this race. We've just got to stay in the DRS of Ocon and try and go for a last lap pass. Oh, and this was not what I wanted. George Russell has snuck his way to the front of this group. Lando Norris, his tyres are dead. You know, we may as well try and get Lando to go fastest lap, I suppose, shouldn't we? Try and snooker away that point off someone else. Of course, he won't actually get the point, but it just stops anyone else from getting it. But yeah, now George Russell is all over the back of Lando Norris. He's probably going to squeeze by and just sail off into the sunset there. Whether we can try and use his DRS to the end of the GP is still yet to be decided. But yeah, we're going to try and go for a last lap, fastest lap attempt then with Oscar Piastri. Has not been the strategy that I'd had in mind this weekend. There 3 stops for Oscar against Lando's 1 this afternoon. As here goes George Russell then down around the outside. In fact, Ricciardo now has closed in as well. So Daniel Ricciardo not out of this thing on a set of soft compound tyres late in the day. So he's really still doing well. But yeah, Ocon, 28% on his mediums. So he's absolutely destroyed those. Strategy here has been bizarre, but it might still work out for us. As Ocon now has peeled into the pit lane, and so he's re-emerged on a set of the soft compound tyres there. But that leaves Magnussen trying to be our rear gunner ahead of Daniel Ricciardo there. Surely it's not going to last very long, as, yeah, 3 laps to go here from Miami. Lando Norris just seems to find himself being able to get back into the points week in and week out there. As there we go, Ricciardo sails past the Haas car just behind. But what are we going to be able to do with Lando Norris towards the end? And don't forget, Matt, let Oscar go for fastest, although there's so many other cars that are going to be trying for it. We might not have much of a chance. 4 laps to go. 1 second to Daniel Ricciardo. I do not feel confident. Here we go. Daniel Ricciardo to the outside, then Lando Norris as we head back down towards the end of the back straight there. He's not going to make it easy for the Australian there. Of course, his former teammate. But let's just try and stick with him, Lando. Prepare ourselves for the final lap attack. Here we go. Oscar, new fastest lap of the day. That's all we can really hope for on his front. But Lando Norris, I feel, yeah, he's lost the DRS to Daniel Ricciardo in front of him. We're just going to have to go push mode to the checkered flag here, but those tyres are absolutely hitting the cliff once more. It's been such a tight stretch between the 2 and the 1 stop here, but yeah, there we go. That's good for Oscar at least then. Gets us, well, it's not really going to be something, but he takes away something from everyone else this weekend there. But Max Verstappen then round in the final corner to start the last lap of the Miami Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton is closing in on him at quite a fast rate, but I'm not convinced he'll take 7 seconds out of him with 1 lap to go here. But yeah, I mean, Imola was not exactly the weekend we would have wanted. It's still clear how much the AI are able to develop and push forward at the moment, but we've got some big upgrades in the works as well, let's not forget, and hopefully will bring us even closer to the front. But yeah, I don't see a way Lando Norris is going to be able to get up to Daniel Ricciardo again before the end. It is going to be another race with no points scored. Max Verstappen, though, through the final corner, he is going to win the Miami Grand Prix, their 3rd race victory in a row, and it's crazy to think the way that the Dutchman started this year, shades of his real-life 2022 season. Hamilton will come through for P2, they're 5 seconds away come the checkered flag, beating out Charles Leclerc, and Sergio Perez just missing out on a podium there ahead of Carlos Sainz. Gasly, a mega drive by him, and some big points for AlphaTauri there, beating out George Russell in the end, who recovered well into P7 there, despite the bit of a botch strategy there. Yuki Tsunoda in P8, finally a good weekend by him, ahead of Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo there. It's only going to be P11 for Lando Norris come the checkered flag. Kevin Magnussen just behind him there with Ocon. Yeah, that late 2-stop gamble was not the way to go for Alpine. Oscar Piastri will come through for P16 in the end. A very, very disappointing showing for him. We got yellow flags out in Sector 3. I think that's Lando Norris has broke down literally just after the start-finish line there. I hadn't even focused on the fuel, but not quite the race weekend we would have wanted once more there. I feel like I say that a lot, though, early on in the campaign. We have got to make big strides forward. Well, watch Lando Norris, though, making his way through the final couple of turns. P16 in the end. A 3-stop strategy was never the way we should have gone, but you know what? We live, we learn. We're trying different things out, and at the moment, we're just trying to see what will happen and what won't for the team.
And that's good enough work from Lando Norris this weekend. McLaren showed some good stuff here today, but they'll be building on that now to try and improve their results next time.
Yes, this was a contrasted performance, but there were some good moments. There is promise here of great things down the line.
The end this weekend in 5th place in the constructor standings.
Formula One will be back to Europe for the next round, on the shores of the Mediterranean, with some heated competition to look forward to in Spain.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Miami Grand Prix, and it's Max Verstappen who takes the race victory there. Pole position, didn't get fastest lap, thank you very much, Oscar, but takes the dub. Hamilton in P2 jumped Charles Leclerc, come the end of the race there, and Perez doing the same to Carlos Sainz there. Gasly best of the rest, some big points for him, and like we said, Russell, Tsunoda, Bottas and Ricciardo rounding out our top 10 there. One stop was the way to go for many, but certainly not for us in the end. And I think, yeah, Oscar Piastri on a 3-stop was not really ideal either there. 86 points for Charles Leclerc means Max Verstappen is only 11 back now as he jumps Carlos Sainz. Perez still in 4th ahead of Russell and Hamilton there. Lando Norris now still best of the rest, but not quite the highs early on that we saw in this championship. Bahrain already feels like a long time ago there. Gasly with those big points now up into 11th. Oscar all the way down into P14 now in the championship. And constructors wise, we're still in 5th, but we're losing more and more points to Alpine and Mercedes there. Thank you all so much nonetheless for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like. Get yourself subscribed as well. And we will be back very soon when Formula 1 returns to Spain, ready for the Spanish Grand Prix, of course. Why did I forget that? Anyway, be back soon for more Formula 1 content. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.